All right, so let's take a look at what Teacher Desmos is and how you can create your first activity. So this video will go over the first kind of part of this, which is how to get signed into Teacher Desmos, how to create your own activities, and then the second video in the series will talk a bit about how you can actually take those activities and run them with your class. So let's just start by going to where we need to go for this activity. So that's going to be to teacher.desmos.com. And once we're there, it's going to give us an option in the top corner to sign in. So you'll see right here it's asking us to sign in. So if this is your first time on Teacher Desmos or your first time on Desmos, you might want to click create an account instead, or alternatively, you can click sign in. I'm going to click sign in with Google and get all signed in with my school Google account. So now that I'm signed in, you can see my name in the top corner. What I can actually do is go in and create my first activity. So there's also a lot of other activities here. And if you're just looking to run an activity and you don't necessarily want to create your own at first, that's fine too. There's lots of great stuff. So Desmos makes tons, and these can work in class or in person. For in-person activities, um, you may want to actually run them with a couple of students on the laptop. I know Desmos designs their activities to usually be small group work, but either way, there's tons of there. You can also Google Teacher Desmos and then the name of whatever you're trying to do, and you'll often find there's a lot of activities there as well. So let's just talk about how to create an activity for today. So to do that, what you're going to do is you're going to go to, on the left-hand side here, there's a big list, and you're going to go to Custom. So under custom, you'll find all of the activities that you've created or have been shared with you to be edited by you. And to create a new activity, you're going to click on new activity in the top right corner. So it's going to give you a pop-up and ask you to choose a name. So we'll call this testing activity demo of Desmos. And you've got a couple of share settings. So you can go anyone with the link. So this is if you want it to be publicly accessible on the internet, you can share the link with anybody that you collaborate with or anyone you'd like to share that with. That means students may be able to find it. Or alternatively, you can click private, which means that only you have the option to view that. Either way, you'll be able to share the activity, the student version of that activity with your students. So we'll go public for now. And you can give it a description if you want, if you plan on sharing this, say, on your website or something like that. All right, and you can even add math into the description if you want, just by clicking this little square root button. So you can see now that I can type in a nice equation. All right, so let's go create new activity. So that'll take a second to load up. And once that's done loading, what you have is the Teacher Desmos editor. So there's a lot of things going on. So let's just quickly break down what each of these are. So up here we have the title. If you click on that, it'll open up that same menu where you can edit settings. You can click here and add an image to upload. You can also go in and change the description, the title, the sharing settings. You can even have a scientific calculator on your student screen if you want to have that up there. All right, so that's that. If you click this, it does the same exact thing. And then this will take you to the Teacher Desmos homepage. And then there's the preview button. So this will let you see what the students actually see, student screen preview. And you can copy a screen using that button there. There's a full screen button and then the navigation buttons here. There's also the publish button, and that will actually make all of your changes show up on that activity. So if you're collaborating with anyone or anyone wants to take a look at that activity, clicking publish will make those changes that you're making now show up. So over on this side here, we've got all of our elements. So these two pieces kind of go hand in hand. So this is the kind of slide layout screen. So what you do is you take, and these are the elements. So you take elements from this left panel over here and drag them into the layout box. So, and that's how you structure your activity. So for example, let's take a look at these three elements. So note, text input and math input. So let's start with a note. So a note is literally just text. And you can write anything. It doesn't need to be, obviously a formal note. And you can add in whatever you want. So let's say, what is your favorite color? It's not like the Canadian spellings. All right. So after you've put that in there, you can either go and click up here. So this is the slide navigation area. So I could go and add a new slide, but I've asked a question, so I think I'd like my students to be able to answer. So we'll grab a text input box and drop that down there. So what a text input box is, it will let students put in whatever they want. They can type in with their keyboard what they'd like to write. And you've got an option with your text input, which is to show students their classmates' responses. So if you toggle that, the button normally will say submit. So let's see what that looks like. Submit. But if you click this box here, it's going to say share with class. So students know that they're going to be sharing it with their classmates. So you can do that for cases where you want to have them explain an idea and then share it with other students, or maybe you just want students to get a quick sense of what other students are going to look at. And they'll see about 3 other students' answers as they're working through the activity. So that is the note and the text box. So let's go and create a new slide. So if you click this little plus icon here, it's going to create a new slide. It's blank. So what we'll do here is we'll ask a math question. Right. So we'll throw in a note and say, what? So let's ask the students what the derivative of, and then here we can actually click again this little square root with the box under it to type in math. So we'll say x squared, and maybe we'll say that's y is equal to x squared. And a question mark. We can also bold things, italicize things, and if we want, we can even add a link. And so you could say google.com. Now, if we go to preview, you can see that it's showing up that way. If I click on this, it's going to redirect me there. So that's useful if you want to put a YouTube video or something linked in, and you don't want to have to tell your students directly. They just get to the slide and there's some instructions there and the link's already ready. All right. So next up, let's talk about that math input. So that's another item over here, and we can drag that underneath. And we have a couple of options with the math input. We can ask students to explain their answers. So after they put in their answer and click, so let's say 2x, once they click submit and explain, it'll pop a little text entry and they can say, well, I brought the exponent down and reduced the exponent by 1. So describing what the procedure is there. And then also we have the show students their classmates' responses. So in that case, they'd get to see those same sort of share with class button, and then they could share that with the class. All right. So those are all of our options kind of for the basic layout. So once you've got that started, you can start to explore these other buttons, and I'll put some videos out that show you how to use those. But for now, that should be most of what you need to get started. So to finish off, once you're satisfied with how this looks, just click on Publish. And it'll take a second to publish it. And then you'll see over here your activity. So you have a couple of options here, and we'll talk about those next class in terms of giving that to your class, but you can see in the student preview that we've created a bit of an activity like this. All right, that's all for now.